Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Commando cast. Hey guys, welcome to episode 69 of the Commando cast, and we finally got the answer that we were all waiting for this week.
We got an answer.
Yes, we got an answer. So we're going to be talking about, obviously, the reaction to the FFG article this week relating to the end of Destiny. This is going to be a long episode, right? So buckle in, grab a beer. We have our box of tissues ready, mostly because we're sick, but... You know, we could cry too. So, yeah. So, I mean, in short, I don't think anybody who's watching this doesn't know already, I would assume. But set 9, when it comes out, Covert Missions will be the last printed set. Worlds will be May 3rd, weekend-ish.
Yeah, 1st to the 3rd, I think,
right.
The official days, yeah.
And that will be the last organized play support for the game. Well, that's not entirely true. It'll be the last competitive OP. And then they will be releasing set 10 in some form through kits at OP at your LGS level.
Correct, yeah.
And so we're going to talk about all of that and kind of break it down as we go. But first, let's just talk about how we're feeling, just real quick. Like, where are you at, Mike? On the wheel of emotions, right? Round and round we go.
I'm kind of going somewhere between like anger and I guess sadness. Like that's kind of like I'm kind of bouncing like around. I feel someone who's as heavily involved in the community as we are, like playing in tournaments and organizing tournaments, and then we spend so much time waiting for FFG to tell us stuff and being on Facebook and whatnot. I have had this feeling for a while. I've been coping for the last few, I would even say, couple months, like where I've been. It came to the realization that there was something really wrong, and I was kind of preparing my body and mind, and because of that, there was a lot of negativity from me over it towards FFG. And I know a lot of people wanted to look at the bright side, and everything is great,
which is admirable,
right? Yeah, that's awesome. But I was coping during that time period. So when the news came out yesterday, I didn't have this like initial like shock. Like there was no shock for me. I was right into anger. Like just like, bah, you know. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. It's been such a big part of my my hobby life for the last few years that, you know, I think the first thing I thought was like, where my homies at, right? Like, what am I gonna do, like, with my friends? You know,
that's where I'm at. I'm with you there. Yeah, that's my main concern.
Yeah. So, I guess where are you at on the grief scale?
I mean, yeah. So I kind of want to double up. So I haven't actually gotten angry yet. Maybe frustration was there, but honestly, when it first came out, I have to be honest, it was a little bit of just relief that we finally had the answer, because I'm with you. For me, it was as soon as we didn't get a Force Friday product, that was when I was like, all right, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
Right? And then when they didn't announce anything for Christmas, meaning like, okay, we did our typical FFG thing and we missed, let's get it out for Christmas, there was nothing there, and there was no release date for Covert Missions announced, and like, it was within that time frame I was like, all right, there's a problem here.
What was the event where they had Willow Alfgood come out on stage and announce all the toys? I don't remember what that was, but like everyone kind of waited and watched this whole stream where they did the dog and pony show of all the new toys for coming out in the fall, and we were all kind of hoping, I don't know why we were hoping that they were going to announce some sort of FFG product, but I remember that being like almost... I don't know if that was the moment, but that was a canary in the coal mine, like for me, where I was like, it was about that time, probably Force Friday-ish, where I was like, man, something doesn't feel right. And I'll just be straight with you, like I have my ear is to the ground on a lot of rumors and news, right. And we know a lot of people that know people that know people, and there's been a lot of rumor that says that this game hasn't been like. They haven't been doing the normal developmental stuff for the game, whatever that capacity that is. but that has been absent. And I think part of me was like, maybe they're doing it a different way now, or maybe there's, they've decided to, part of me was like, well, maybe they decided to finally print this thing in the U.S. to get around some of these, issues with China.
MSRP is now $8 a pack.
right, yes. Correct, yeah. So I think part of me was like, maybe that's what's going on, and about that time, that's probably. And you don't think you've got to anger yet? I feel like you've had a couple moments of.
Well, so my anger is more frustration, and I mean when I'm talking to you or the Dice of Failure guys, we have a big best frenemies chat going on, right? And I get kind of in my rant mode, like me, right? But it's just because I'm trying to support what I'm saying with data. That's just how I am. Right. But my frustration on this is the timing, and it's kind of a good and bad scenario, right? Like everyone, not everyone, but I've heard a lot of people like, man, it is so great, such a nice gesture by FFG that they let us know before we were buying our product, and that is true.
Yes,
from a player standpoint, it is true. But if you are a game store who has already secured product, like how many game stores are never going to carry an FFG product again?
Right. I'm hopeful there was some lag where they were able to adjust like that, because we still don't have a clear release date at this point, right?
Like and you're correct. That is one. We work very closely with Gongai. We don't get any kickback from or anything, but we work very closely with them, so we're in tune with them, and like they don't know what's going on. Either. So what I'm saying is actually rumors not from Gongai.
Right, yeah.
But so the rumors I've heard is that part of the delay is because the distributors actually were so I've heard that there's actually stuff at the distributor warehouse, and that they said that they weren't going to ship it if the game was getting canceled because they didn't want that. So I've heard that maybe potentially the delay is actually the distributors not wanting to ship the product and not wanting to bone their stores.
That's interesting. Yeah, someone had put
I don't know though.
Someone had put it, and I think I want to give credit to where credit's due on the ideas, but I think it was one of the Hyperloops guys had mentioned today. I listened to a lot of podcasts, so forgive me.
It was a good cast.
Yeah, it was a good cast, but
we forgot our trophies though.
We did. Yeah, well, yeah.
Oh wait, we have them all.
Our store champ trophies are not very exciting. I think Mike had mentioned that he felt it was kind of like just dumb, blind ass luck that it worked out that way. That it was just like the FFG kind of looks like they were doing good, like they had made a good move.
I left a comment on their YouTube, and I agreed. Like I basically 100%. I think he just nailed it. Like I don't
like this is the same company that and.
They can't get their shit enough together to do good or bad, right? Like,
did we mention this might be a long podcast because there's things I want to talk about.
Yeah,
but
let's do it.
Yeah, so
that's what we're here for.
This is the same company that hyped up Netrunner really hard. Like Netrunner was kind of going down a little bit. The community was so loving of the product though, and they were such a good group of people, and they were doing the best they could working with these product delays and just everything that FFG can do they were doing to the game. And then they hyped up basically a 2.0 version of that game, like a revised starter set that sold out like bonkers. First printing gone. I mean, it was just stores couldn't keep it. They could not get it in fast enough. And this is a company that got stores to buy a second printing of these and then cancel the game. It's basically, imagine if you had X-Wing players, if you had bought the 2.0 conversion.
Now, there was a licensing thing there that was.
Yeah, but they had to know they were
no doubt,
that just doesn't happen on a Tuesday and Monday.
I'm not justifying it. I'm just saying there was a licensing thing in play. In that WotC grabbed or didn't renew the license.
Right. So, I mean, this is the same company that regardless of what was, like, they had to know that was a possibility and still, like, hyped up this renewal of the product, So, I don't put that. I really give them zero credit. Like, I don't like to work in absolutes because I'm old enough to know that nuance is life. I don't plan on playing any more FFG games, like ones that have to be supported. I really don't want to give them any more money if I can help it.
They make good games though, but
they employ great designers. I think that's one of the people that work at that company are fantastic. Even the people that are in charge of OP, which is really what ultimately probably screwed Destiny. Even the people that are in charge of that are still really like good people that I think are gamers. Like they're one of us, but I just don't plan on giving them any more of my money. Like, and that kind of boned me today. I'm sure we're gonna talk about Worlds, but that kind of hosed me today.
Yeah. Like, we're definitely talking about Worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just want to finish my statement on just the timing of it.
Yeah.
In that, there was actually some discussion. There was, a lot of grassroots support for some gentleman had tried to cancel his Saga set pre-order from a retailer. And the retailer said, no, we've already pre-ordered our product and we're locked in. Like, and we did that based on your order.
Sure.
Which I actually think is reasonable from a retailer standpoint. Now, obviously, if the retailer's allowed, like, I don't want to get into the details of, like, if the retailer's allowed to go back and modify it, blah, 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 right? But, a lot of these game stores have had their orders, like, Gone Guys had their orders locked in for months.
Right.
And I think, and sure, I shouldn't say locked in. They've had their orders in for months, and then the lock-in date was sometimes several weeks ago.
Yeah, correct.
Now, has that lock-in date been lifted or changed? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not privy to that.
But like, if these stores now have 200, because I do know for a fact that Gone Guy had several people on the original delay call in and cancel a product. Right. So with this game announcement, there's no way there was an impact there. Right. So I don't know. Like, a lot of these stores, I think, are left high and dry. Or could potentially be left high and dry. Well, and I think I think the timing's a really bad move.
These are small businesses, right? That are generally, small businesses generally pretty cash poor. Like, that's just the way, they're working to pay themselves and to pay their employees. And if there's a little bit extra, they get to buy some chairs. Like, for the play. These are not like cash rich. These are not Nikes and Columbia sportswears that we're used to, right? So, I can see where that would be hard, and even like a company like the one you were talking about, like, that's one of the most successful
FFG sellers,
right? Yeah, like, they are successful, but at the end of the day, it's still 8 dudes that played games together,
right?
Like, in college, and they're still a small business, and I can see where that would be really impactful, and my heart goes out to the retailers that have to deal with that crap
on both sides, because even if, let's say, they make the move to keep their money, then they've got angry customers, and like, either way, what FFG is doing right now put pressure on them, right? And I do understand that me taking the side of the retailers right now is probably going to anger some of our viewers. Like, I anticipate a couple of comments about, well, I appreciate them doing it, which is fair, right? It's just another one of those things of support your LGS does mean that, right, if you ordered 3 boxes, all I'm saying is if FFG takes, or not, sorry, if not FFG, if your LGS takes a bath on this, they're going to be less likely to carry products that you want them to carry in the future. And that's just the way it works.
And there are stories of game stores going out of business over this type of thing. There's a game called Force of Will. Those of you that don't know a lot about Force of Will, but the third or fourth set of Force of Will was put out without any sort of description to the retailers, and the game was doing really well. So stores were told they had to order so much, or like they had to order in this one chance to order
one window,
get it. They didn't really, and the set turned out to be like really small. It was like a 60 card set. The boxes were the same size, so all of a sudden players were coming in and buying half as many boxes because they didn't need as many, and then there's stories, and again, some of that is a little bit of mismanagement, but at the same time, we're talking about small business people,
right?
And we're
who are working on relatively small margins,
correct? Yeah. And we're probably unnaturally close with our LGS because of our relationships, and whatnot. So I think it's natural for us to kind of take that. To take the side of...
Well, but I think any community... we're not close with our LGS because, like, we get kickbacks. Like, we're close because we're community leaders and we work with them directly because us being able to run events there means that they have stake in the game, and, like, it has to be a quid pro quo. Like, we both have to be getting something out of it, and you have to know that.
Most LGS owners are gamers, too. Like, they're people that love the hobby and thought, it'd be cool
they'll knock you, they'll knock prices off, they'll make great deals to get you in there, to build the customer base, to build the support base, and just to have a community going and make their store successful, but like they still have to make money. So anyway, I think we've
so
that to bed. So you had brought up
lifespan. I want to talk about lifespan.
Well, you had brought up Worlds.
Worlds. Okay, let's talk about Worlds. Okay, so tickets for Worlds went on sale today. I think it was probably 10 or 11 a.m. Pacific.
No, I was at work.
Yeah, me too.
And then at lunchtime, what did I try to do?
Yeah, how'd it go?
Went real well.
Yeah, so
I was actually going to go to Worlds.
yeah, and it's funny.
And maybe I still will be able to.
I had a ticket in my cart, and I hesitated for a minute because I'm still dealing with the anger. Like I was like, do I really want to give these jokers my money again? That was kind of my thought process. So I didn't buy it right away, and I hesitated, and the ticket sold out. And that sucks. Like it's good and it sucks. It's good that we have so many passionate players that want to travel for this last celebration, but it sucks that that there's a lot of people who aren't going to get to go. Like imagine the number of players that are going home, like they just got home from work. Right. They're commuting.
And they don't have a job where they sit at a computer and can do this. Like they have like a real job.
Right.
I mean, not no real job.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like
when
a
they have
salt of
to
the
focus.
earth job.
Correct.
Or something,
yeah,
right?
and all of a sudden they go home and the tickets. And I get it. Like you can't control the number, but you can control where you have your worlds. You can control.
Okay, you're saying you can't control the fact that you only have 100 seats in said venue, but you can control
the venue.
A venue with 200 seats.
Correct. Right. Yeah, and so it's one of those things where I was super salty, excited about a chance to hang out with the really good friends that I made last year at Worlds, and then I made the mistake of hesitating for a minute, and they were gone. And I'm hoping that's a temporary thing.
I'm sure they'll reopen.
Yeah, it just was like, man.
It's just they had made that comment. It's like people who buy within the first 30 days will get extra prize tickets or something. Like I read that somewhere, and it's like 30 days, maybe first 30 minutes. Like,
it's like just it was just one of those things where I was like, of course they're sold out. Of course there's because this is the same company for the last year. I've wanted to give them my money like 3 or 4 times,
and I can't because there's no product.
Right, there's no product. So them having a shortage of tickets for Worlds is just par for the course. So that's all I got. And I've had people reach out to me today. Hey, I'm excited to see you at Worlds. Should I be buying beer, like for Worlds? Should I be sneaking it across the state line? And I'm like, I don't even know if I want to go yet. And then all of a sudden it was gone, and I'm like, well, I don't even have an opportunity now.
Yep.
Chris, I want to drink beer with you, by the way.
Yep.
Just so you know.
Yep.
Don't know what's going to happen, though.
Yep. Yeah. One more thing I want to hit on, and then we'll go into your lifespan discussion. We've had many conversations on here before, or I guess maybe it's been mostly me saying it, right? But there's the dichotomy between the people that work for FFG and FFG, the company, right? Or not really a dichotomy, but it's hard to dissociate the people who work for FFG from the company itself, right? Corporate decisions. And you already alluded to that earlier, right? I do honestly feel a little betrayed over the last couple weeks with the way that Jeremy and even Matt Holland, the great savior, have treated us, right? Because they've been telling us, like, don't worry, guys, your OP article's coming. Right. And, like, you cannot honestly tell me, like, I don't care how much you love Matt Holland, you cannot honestly tell me that 2 weeks ago he didn't know that the OP article was going to be the last OP article. Right. Like, there's
2 weeks.
Okay, maybe not 2 weeks.
You're giving a lot of credit, bro.
But either way.
No, right. Yes. You are correct.
As early as as late as Friday, when he probably, like, again, I'm not slamming the guy. He does great. Like, I have no doubt in my mind that they were like, yeah, we'll have this set up Friday. And he looked around the office at noon, and he's like, oh, crud, everybody's at happy hour. I guess I better put these on Facebook. Right? And then he had to probably call 5 people for the password to whatever computer. So I have no doubt he was there late getting that done, and it's much appreciated, and that's awesome. But there is no way that guy did not know that the OP article coming out in 72 hours was not the end of the game. And he was definitely giving us, don't worry, guys, it'll be okay vibes on Friday. Like, there's no question about it.
Right.
I mean, I'm sorry. So I feel a little betrayed on that.
No, you are, yes.
And I know we use the excuse over and over again, well, maybe they didn't know, which is probably true. Right. Like, when the decision was made probably during the summer to kill Destiny, did the designers know? Did Matt Holland know? Maybe, maybe not. Did they think? Did they have hints? Yes. Did they actually know? No. Were they allowed to say anything? Right? You can put up a million different excuses for them. But, like, I feel that we were straight up getting lied to on Friday.
And
I'm sorry.
I think that's where we talk about separating the employee from the employer.
Right.
Right.
And that's the case where it's not.
It's not correct. Like this person these people who decided to string us along, which is what they did for however many months this has been in the pipe. They decided to string us along. These are the same people that pop into our Discords and our Facebook. And I understand that if you're told by your boss you can't say anything, if it's your job or these random people on Facebook, you're going to pick your job. I understand that. That doesn't make me feel less betrayed,
right,
or less hurt.
No, that's all I'm saying. Yeah. Like, I'm not saying he's a horrible person. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I feel betrayed, and even so, like if you're told by your boss you can't say anything, that's fine. But like, there are very few companies out there that will go on record anywhere because things show up that will go on record telling you to specifically give false information.
Correct.
Yeah. Right. So like, again, FFG is a different company. Like they make their own rules and they probably think their farts taste great, right? Or smell great, whatever the joke is. But like, I'm sorry, I'm put it to bed. But like, there's like we were straight up getting lied to for the last X period of time within the last 2 weeks. Yeah. Right. Maybe it wasn't a full 2 weeks. Maybe it was 10 days, 7 days, whatever. But like, they were lying.
I will say,
in my opinion,
in hindsight, I think we've been getting misled since the summertime.
I 100% agree with you. I'm just not really. I don't have the evidence to back that.
That's how I feel. Like again, I have no empirical data to back that up.
I agree with you. The only data that I can easily go back to. Well, I mean, and again, I don't have any proof of anything. Right. But like, there's a big difference saying Matt Holland didn't know in summertime. Like, there's like me sitting here and be like, I'm confident Matt's been lying to us in summer. No, that's versus I'm confident I'm confident he's been lying to it like he was lying to us on Friday. Like, no doubt.
Again, let me separate the two. I'm confident that FFG has had this decision made for a long time. Right. And you can go back to when we had the we're reorganizing OP and here's the new plan. We're gonna have
and there was no Destiny in said plan.
Even before that, when we had double store championships. Oh. And how many store champs did we get? 0, right? Double store champs, 0 store champs. Like, it happened. I mean, to go so sometime between that announcement in January of 2019 and in the summertime, something changed. Yeah. And that original announcement, I believe, was made with the best intentions. But when you say double store champs and no store champs happen, that means that decision was made. And I think that's about the time we started getting. And misled is like they were trying to keep us buying their product as long as humanly possible, which is, I guess, natural for a corporation. But whenever you guys want to like defend a company or you put all of your marbles in the bag of a company like Disney or you're pre-ordering product way ahead of time because you love this company, that company does not love you. That's I think.
I mean, that's the reality of the world, but
yeah. I just don't know if that reality is really known. Like, I know that's the reality for me, but there's a lot of people who.
So we're gonna go off Destiny topic.
Off Destiny. Yeah.
You need to remember that you and I are from a different generation, right? You and I are from a generation where our parents would work for the same company for 50 years, and like I was taught by my dad that like as long as you worked hard for the company, they'd be there to reward you, right? And now we're in a like my corporation I work for. They've actually changed their employment practice with the way that millennials work to basically only expect an employee to be there for 3 to 5 years. Right. Now, some stay longer, some stay less, right? Nothing applies 100% across the board to anybody. Right. It's not what I'm saying. But like companies used to want people to come in and be the factory worker and maybe move up to be a supervisor and then retire. Like that was the way it worked. And you got an awesome watch at the end and like
your parents worked for GM or the Postal Service, right? Yeah. Right.
And that's just not the way it works anymore. And like to that end, on my rant, like the reason I'm talking about this is like you and I are still of the belief that like if you, or maybe not of the belief, but like of the generation that was raised of like if you work hard and if you give emotional capital, correct, right, you will be rewarded.
Right. You work late on a Saturday, right? Which we, like,
and so that's what I'm saying. So like, it's very possible that like the 13 and 14-year-olds or the 20-year-olds of the world who are watching us and are thinking, "Okay, boomer," right now.
Okay, boomer.
Right. They're just like, whatever, bro. Yeah. I mean, it's it's just different, right? We expect that, yeah, I'm going to put in this pre-order so that I will get that set, because by me giving this company that money, it will help them to deliver what I want. And that's just not the way it works anymore.
And if you want proof of that, just go to Kickstarter and look at the number of projects where they have taken millions of dollars from people and then not delivered product,
right?
And then hidden behind this isn't a store,
right?
This is so. Yeah. Anyway, I would like to transition that conversation.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Into the lifespan, because we're kind of talking about time.
Perfect.
A little bit.
So while you're doing that, I'm gonna go refill my beer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no problem. So pull up a chair. Uncle Mike's going to talk to you a little bit about a topic that is near and dear to my heart, and that is lifespan of games. So Andrew and I have played lots of games. I've been playing games since probably competitively since about 1995, 94, 95. The years are a little bit fuzzy for me, but sometime about that time I kind of cut my teeth on Magic. I know Andrew's a couple years younger than me, but I bet it's about that time, about the 2000, 2002-ish for him. So we've played a lot of games, and games live to die. And you hear a lot of pain and anger from us over this particular game because we're close to this game. But this game was going to die at some point. And unless the game is Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, or Pokemon, which are some sort of necromantic, sorcery games that just live forever. But every other game in the world has risen, has reached heights of maximum excitement, and it ultimately crashed and been canceled. So I'm not mad at FFG for canceling this game, because it would have been canceled at some point due to some reason. But games are a lot like guinea pigs. So a guinea pig lives, and in games, we hope a successful game lives in the 4 to 7 year range. I think if Destiny...
Because that's how long your guinea pig lives.
Correct. I would like to think that if Destiny had gone 7 years, we would have been equally as butthurt when it died. But the pain of the loss...
That's interesting.
I
don't know about that.
Would not have been as hard, because I think what's happened here is we're sub 4 years for this game.
December 2016, right?
Yeah, so we're like 3 years and a couple months into this game, and it has now been snuffed out for us. So if I owned a guinea pig, knowing that it lived 4 to 7 years, and it died before it was 4 years old, I'd be upset. So you can be upset. It's okay to feel the way that you do, because this game died, I think, early.
Right.
This particular guinea pig of a game died due to lack of feeding and a lack of handling and just basically poor care. So we have a lot of blame to put on the stakeholders with this particular game, the guinea pig. So I guess I just want to share that with you. The expectation is not that games live forever. It's just that this particular game, of all the games that I've ever played, which are many, aside from even Magic, was not set up to succeed. Magic was like some weird nerd crap. Like when it came out, like no one thought that. Like if you didn't know anything about Magic, and if you didn't know nothing about the last 20 years of Magic, and you looked at the IP of Magic, it's just generic fantasy. Orcs and goblins.
Rock Hydra was like that was a card.
Yeah,
right?
It's just generic though. Like it was just fantasy, right? There was no that game. The reason why it's been so successful is because the company that does the game is so good at it's their thing. It's what they do. They don't do anything else, right? That's there are very few things. In fact, if you think, well, they make like other books and games, no, they don't. Their parent company makes that other stuff. Wizards of the Coast makes Magic and a tiny little bit of Transformers now, right? Yeah. That's like it. So be sad. I think, and if you feel like, why am I so mad at this one particular? I think it's because it was struck down in its prime. And if there's been any game that was
struck down in its prime,
it's struck down in its prime. If there's any game that should have been very successful for the full normal life expectancy of a game, it's a dice game with Star Wars with an IP attached to it. That is what was brilliantly designed by Lucas and his team at the time. And Jeremy came in, and a great designer, I think, made a lot of good, cool design decisions and stayed with. So my anger and I guess how mad I am and sad and all these emotions are because it's too damn soon. Like, so if you feel the same way, that's probably why. Like, this game wasn't supposed to live forever, but damn, it was supposed to live for more than 3 years and 2 months.
Yeah, and the game still, I mean, and again, obviously it was a business decision to do it. They're not going to kill it if it's making them enough money. So, like, that's very clear. Or there's some weird contractual thing or whatever. I don't know, right? But sure felt like a successful game. And yeah, we live in our own bubble sometimes.
Yeah.
But like the game was being sold at Barnes and Noble and stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
The streams, the retail streams seemed pretty high. Like, I mean, we play other games that don't get sold.
Why couldn't they have kicked out another 2-player starter that was sold in Target or something? Yeah. Like, they already did it once.
Yeah. I don't know if they ultimately. I don't know if they were ready for. I don't know if they were ready to support a competitive game.
Like, yeah, one of our, I will. Darn, I was going to try to get through this episode without having to go back and do screen edits because it just goes faster. But one of our videos, one of the viewers, I'm sorry I don't remember who you are, but I will give you screen credit, basically just said that FFG wasn't they just weren't equipped for this. And it's 100% correct, right? And we kind of talked about that before of like, and I think it was our last episode where we're just like, I think FFG just like didn't want this game anymore. Just like, this is too much work.
It's hard.
Yeah, we have to hit dates and stuff.
And the people expect us to balance it post, and so one of these nerds will break something.
That's a good question. All right, so let's stop the shit fest for a second. So are we ever going, like, after, I assume we're going to get an errata, or I should say RRG update when the next set comes out, maybe.
Well, they got to fix my big rocks, right?
Well, yeah. But I'm actually confident we're going to get that because it's probably already been in the pipeline for 2 months. Right. So, but do we ever get an RRG or a Holocron or anything after that? I guess no, right? Because there's only going to be a number of primes and then it's worlds.
So I suspect what they'll probably do they should do is after. So this set, what do they call it? Wild Horizons? Is that what they call it?
Set 10.
Set 10.
Oh yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah,
we're getting there.
So people are going to have these cards and dice, and I feel like that they're going to have to. I mean, they should at least make some clarification on some of those.
Yeah, but they may intend to do. Okay, so yeah, let's go into our Set 10 conversation because I am personally really worried about the Set 10 thing. Like, I'm very worried about it.
Like, worried about them mechanically, or what is your...
Well, yeah, because you just brought up the rules thing too, right? So, like, in order for that to work, there's going to have to be rules released, but, like, Jeremy's working on something else, and, like, nobody cares anymore.
So, they let go of the other guy or that was working on Destiny?
Does anybody care anymore?
Right.
And I guess that's more my thing is, like, so what they've done is, and we don't have dates or any firm details because why would we? Right? But they're going to be releasing as some sort of prize kit at your LGS a full set of one of each card and one of each die for Wild Horizon, whatever. There's so many problems with this. One, I referenced the Bones kit and most of the other prize kits that we've seen from FFG, like, they cannot deliver on kits globally, right? Like, maybe there's like 5 of them that show up in like Minnesota and everybody up there's happy, but like the rest of us are just getting our Bones kits. So like
the Bones kit box, by the way, makes a lot of sense all of a sudden.
Oh yeah, it does.
Like that's the box that they're gonna put.
Oh no, it's because it fits playmats.
Well, I'm just saying that box though is perfect for loading in a set worth of dice and 180 cards.
I follow.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, it's probably what they're going to use.
Because what I read on the thing said that the retailers were going to get a kit that included one copy of for each player of the kit.
Right, so it won't be winning a tournament. It'll be, if it's an 8-man kit, you get 8 sets.
Right. 8 sets, yeah.
And therein lies another problem, right? So, like, what's to say some guy, like, what I'm really worried about isn't that everyone, so, like, let's say there's 10,000 orders of this kit get put in. I believe that eventually all 10,000 of those orders will get put in, but I'm afraid it's going to go all Bones kit on us, where somebody gets them in December.
Right, yeah.
Or the large of us get in December, and like there's some dude in Minnesota who knows a guy who gets 18 of these kits, and these set 10 things are going for $1,000 on eBay.
Which
is very realistic.
Yeah, no,
right?
I think that's...
Or more, right? And then my other problem with it, if you really think about it, is it's one of each card and die. That's almost fine for the die. Okay, so like anyone who plays this game is like, okay, so I need 2 of them.
Correct, right? Yeah,
that's but not for like for Amy and I, not for the commons. Like there's gonna be staple commons in there that need to go in multiple decks. Right. So like now we're just doing my normal thing of printing out copies, right. And like that feels bad. Like because what you want to do after set 10 is you want to build your top decks, put them in a box, put them in your closet, and tell yourself you're gonna play with them every weekend and never touch them again, right? But like still.
So let me ask you this then. I get what you're laying down. It's certainly a bad the chances of them getting it right feel pretty slim.
It's not gonna. That's my more thing is like I have what was the word we used before?
Don't pour that in you pour that in my beer.
That's not the same beer.
Oh, never mind. All right.
You can't mix beers.
Yeah,
the world, you know.
Sorry, yeah. Not on camera.
It's like Gremlins and like getting water on a gremlin.
Feed me after midnight.
I'm drinking a higher alcohol beer than Mike.
Okay.
And he said he could only have one. Otherwise, his wife would beat him with a potato sack when he got home.
All right, where were we?
He's like, it's funny because it's true.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, I don't remember what we put.
We were talking about the set in the
low. It's right there. Low confidence. Okay. I have exceedingly low confidence of FFG's ability to deliver on the set 10 promise.
I know where I was going. Okay, so I agree with you. I have a low confidence of this. Let's say that they have this product already developed, which, God, I hope they do.
I'm going to one-up you. I think they already have it printed, and that's the only reason they're doing this.
Okay. Knowing that there's a low probability of them delivering on said promise, would you... I mean, the other side of the coin is, would you be happier if they just did nothing?
Yes. I think that's actually the right answer, because there's too many questions that are unanswered to me right now. Like, honestly, if they're only going to release one set 10... I mean... To be clear, none of this really matters for the long term because there is no long term, but like rotation. So for standard, is it now 7, 8, 9, 10? Because in my opinion, we should just not rotate. Like standard should stay for whatever intent and purpose. Standard should stay 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then just add in 10. Because there's too many there are way too many staples that rotate out when legacies block. And Mike and I'll do a podcast about this, or a cast about this, don't worry.
Yeah, I want to... Well, I was like, do we have time to talk about it? Because I want to talk about we'll
then fine, let's do it. We're here. If it's 2 hours, it's 2 hours, right?
Yeah, no problem.
But no, there are way too many staples that rotate out with legacies block to not be backfilled by the subsequent 11 and 12.
Correct.
So the fact that they are dropping only one set of a block on us, I think you have to not rotate. But like, are we ever even going to get that rule? And again, not that it matters.
And don't we get to do it
competitive.
Don't we get to do whatever we want anyway?
No, and yes,
like locally,
and yes, and that's why I say it's not that it even matters, but it's like there's an implied level of support, which I guess has been a kind of problem statement from day one, right? But like again, like you said, you already hit on it, right? There are going to be new mechanics in this new set because that's what they do.
Right.
So, like, if we don't get the RRG on it, do we just, like, nominate a player committee, a.k.a., like, the 3 dudes who talk loud enough on Facebook to say this is how it works? And we'll just be like, hey, Nick, how's this work? And he'll be like, yeah. Like, I don't know. Like, because he's not going to care either. He's probably playtesting FFG's next Star Wars game right now. Right?
Maybe.
I mean, I don't know.
I have a lot of confidence in the I guess the mind power, the brain power of the people that take this game and love this game. Like, I have a feeling that we'd be able to work through like any questions that kind of came up. I think though we talked a little about this today on our best frenemies chat, where the question came up is the future support of this game, does it lie in a global community?
Oh, you're going right into what I wanted to talk about, so perfect. Which is continuing committee.
Yeah.
Or whatever you want to call it.
Does this power, is the best way to implement this lie in a global committee where there's a select group who make the rules for everyone? Or are we giving ourselves too big a job as a globe to do that? Or is it best done locally? And whatever that means.
I have to interrupt because that's not the way the conversation went down. And this is actually giving Mike credit. All of the rest of us were talking about global continuing committee, like there being one authority, and Mike was like, F that, y'all. we'll just do whatever we want to do locally.
So,
I mean, I'm paraphrasing, obviously.
Right, yes.
Because he didn't say y'all.
Yeah. So, I think the chances of us making a Nisei type Netrunner community work or a Star Wars CCG player committee work is slim, and the reason why is because that's 2 games out of hundreds that have been canceled and loved over the last 20 years.
But we love ours more, right? I mean, that's the thought.
Correct. I think that maybe, like, is it possible it could work? Yes. And I'm not saying you shouldn't try, and I'm not saying I wouldn't even be a part of it. I would be a part of it. What I'm saying is, if you want your local meta to thrive, to continue, and to be fun, you need to circle the wagons and work with whatever. Like, I feel like our local community here is Portland, it is Seattle, and the Rollers, and it is Idaho. Like, I would consider that our, like, when I circle the wagons, I'm circling it with the Rollers and the Dice of Failure and the Portland community and Artificery, and we're circling these wagons right here. And
we'll leave a little gap if Boise wants to drive.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But I feel like the mind share in that group and the passion and the number of players is enough to support a continuing model of rules, clarifications, and RRG updates, and even organized play for the next at least 3 years, just in that group.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, we can all go get a beer twice a year.
Correct. Right. Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of these games only, like the Star Wars CCG, I think they only meet like once a year. Like, they have one big, I don't know that, but they may only meet like once a year for a big tournament, which is great, but they still play and love it. Nisei, which does the Netrunner, those people are nutty. They still have regionals. They still have store championships that are all on their own dime. Like, they print, like, based on, like, you pay in for prizes. They take that money. They use it to print.
What do they have, like an LLC or something? Or?
I think they have a nonprofit, like, that they've set up for.
Oh, that's what I meant. Was it 503B?
501c3.
501c3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
So I feel like my advice for community building would be, if you live in Texas, right, and you've got 25 players,
like if you maybe live in Dallas and you have a great community,
correct, and you make
don't know who that would
good
be,
videos every day, right? If that's you have this ability. I feel like you have probably. I trust you and to know your players well enough to know what they want,
right, to
keep your community growing. So what I brought up in our discussion was, let's do what we're going to do locally, and when I say locally, I mean in the Pacific Northwest. And if other people want to emulate it, great. That was my suggestion. And again, I don't want to say I'm poo-pooing on a national or global community. What I'm saying is, I don't know if I trust enough. I don't know how easy it is to get all those people together and make decisions and be okay with it. So that's, yeah.
No, and to be clear, I actually, when Mike said that, I was like, well, of course Mike's right. Like, we're just going to do whatever we want to do locally, because that's, I mean, to a certain extent, that's kind of what we've done to offset lulls anyway. Like, Mike's come up with, on Monday Night Dice, Mike used to come up with fantastic ideas. This week, Monday Night Dice, in like, this will go up Friday, so in 3 days, we're doing a 40-40-40. Right? And I had to make we're doing 40-40-40 standard, not Highlander. I know there's people out there shitting a brick right now because we're not doing Highlander.
I like non-Highlander with some caveats.
Yeah, so I today, based on, I was hearing people doing their deck build. Basically, I was hearing some of the deck ideas that was going to come, and I said, all right, Hoth Trooper and Ewok are now on the restricted list together. Right? Yeah. So anyway, but we've been doing stuff like that for the last 2 years. Right.
And that's a micro, that is an actual great micro case of what I'm talking about, where the bigger the community is, the harder it is to make that sort of pivot and decision to make the game better.
That's an excellent point.
If you have to go globally to make a change on a game, it's just like FFG. Like, if FFG wants to go change one of the cards, what do they have to do? They have to wait for Disney to give them approval.
Yeah, I mean,
and take however long it's going to take.
That's probably actually easier than trying to do it.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But locally, and this is very small, if Andrew and I are TOing a Saturday and a Monday, we can get together and be quick. Like, oh my gosh, did you see that? What someone did with, because let's say in 6 months we're running infinite, limited infinite. Like we want to play with all of our cards because it's all we have, right? We're gonna have to make some quick decisions on. Holy crap, we cannot have 2 copies of Second Chance in every yellow hero deck, right? So that's what I'm saying is I think the future of this game, and I mentioned that in our Facebook group today. I think the future in this game is in infinite, limited, on a local meta scale.
Right.
And I feel like our local meta is strong enough between Seattle, Boise, and Portland to actually have a pretty cool circuit.
Yeah. And I want to further support what Mike's saying, right, in terms of continuing committee. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that there are people in the game that are passionate enough to make the continuing committee, or whatever we want to call it, happen. I just use that because that's the Star Wars CCG term, right? It's continuing committee. The advantage that the local has over that is that with the local, I'm the, like, for example, on 4040, like, I'm the organizer. And if, like, I set the rule and, like, there wasn't, like, a committee discussion about it. And there's also, I would put the percentage of the Star Wars Destiny community very high, who are very quick to say that's wrong, but don't offer up a solution alternative, right? So you do need leaders, and you need people who are in charge to make that decision, and that's much easier to do at a community level because, like, Mike knows the 15 people that are going to go to the tournament, and they respect Mike, and they're like, okay, I don't agree with it, but it's Mike, and I know he's trying to do the right thing. Whereas if Mike Jim and Nick Nelson and Steven Lanza make some decision that some random internet troll in California deals with, now those guys have to listen to said internet troll for the next 3 months. Right. And, like, because there's no respect there, there's no relationship.
And amplified by...
Right, that's what I'm saying, right? So, like,
the collective internet.
Just from we've talked about this before, from even us dealing with being on social media and stuff like that, like, the emotional capital of dealing with that, I think, becomes very difficult in this game because of how passionate the community is.
And I bet you these games that have continued on have I bet I would be willing to bet some of their turnover on their leadership and the people that were involved is probably based on that, like, where the emotional capital got too high for the return, where you're like, man, I cannot deal with people being upset because we banned, you know, Outlaw, like, out of the Netrunner set or whatever. Like, I mean, there's just so many little things that, like, where you make a quick decision and you didn't think about 5 million people, so 100,000 were mad, right? Whereas I feel like if I make it, if it's, let's say it's me, you, and 2 or 3 people in Seattle, right? We're making a decision, like, we're only talking about 150 people, right? I feel like we can make better decisions based on those 150 people than we could if it was 5 people over 5 million.
Maybe not. I think it's also maybe just a law of numbers impact. Like, you know, if said continuing committee makes something that 2% of 5% of the global population disagreeing is like 100,000 people, right? 5% of the Pacific Northwest continuing players is
7.
like 2 people. Right. And then they just don't drive down from Olympia.
Right.
He's like, Jeff's like, no Palp.
We banned Palp, Jeff.
I let y'all stay at my house.
Right. Sorry, Jeff. That's the first ban. Palp.
Oh, but, like, I mean, maybe. No, and that is one thing, is, like, it is a little bit of a bummer that, like, Palp's going to go out on top of this game.
Yeah.
You can't, I mean, not that Palp isn't, like, Palp's a great design. He's fine, but, like, Palp's pretty good.
Well, and I think one of the fun parts about these games over their lifespan is when you see one of these characters get too big for their britches, and the meta kind of evolves around it, like, to deal. Like,
but it's a silver bullet nutta, right? Like,
yeah, but I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. Is when, remember the Milpocalypse, right? When
Mother Mandos, yeah.
Yeah, when the Milpocalypse happened and the collective Destiny community lost their gourds. Like, I remember, like, this game is over. Like, this is it. It's gonna chase the game, like, gonna chase players away. It literally was like 3.5 weeks before these really good deck builders and smart people started just like coming up with different ways to hose the mill. And then all of a sudden, Mill got brought back down to earth. And I think that evolving meta thing is one of the attractive parts of these types of games. So it's not that I mind that it went out on went out on top, that, you know, Palp and Rayla went on top. It's that the game didn't have, and I'm actually excited to see if maybe there is something, especially when we shift to more of a limited infinite. I know there's answers and stuff, and I'm actually excited about that part of the game.
And I mean, yet again, like you and I are on such a same page. Like we keep leading into what we want to talk about. So that's really the question I have is like, do we just I mean, instead of leading you to it, how about I just say what I want to say? I think eventually standard is going to become just not a thing anymore, and we're just going to. I mean, because think about it, we only have 9, 10. We have 10 sets. Right? Like, doesn't it just make sense to move to infinite altogether?
Right. Within reason.
Oh, well, with restrictions.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
And then my next question, this is a legitimate question, is with the background of one of the largest pushbacks to continuing committee is the creation of the dice. And I'm 100% in agreement with that. My proxy dice, the way I built them was not ideal. There's other suggestions I've got, but my proxy dice don't hold up as well as real dice. I agree. I think one of the challenges of the continuing committee continuing to create more cards is the dice aspect of it. Right, whether or not people want to build it or whatever. So does the future of the game really just lie in rebalances and holocron updates and stuff like that versus creating new source material?
I think realistically that's probably the case.
Right.
Because it's easier. I think the game will be more successful if we can figure out a way past that barrier.
So I have a pros for that, but please finish.
Yeah. That barrier, though, is actual taking someone else's crap and using it. Not for money, but for
the getting sued barrier is the big one.
Yeah, no, I'm hoping that if no one, like, let's put it this way, if Andrew and I come up with 5 new characters, right, and we distribute them we get someone to make the art for them. They are obviously Star Wars because, I mean, like, we don't list them as Star Wars, but they're in the style of Star Wars. We come up with our dice sides. We have these sticker templates.
Clone printed. Commander CDY.
Yeah. We print these out. Even if we take all the steps to avoid that, we're still using the templating that is owned by a company.
Yeah, we're using the dice dual system.
Right. So there's going to be a chance that you get sued for that.
Right.
And again, it's one of those capital discussions where is the risk worth it to do? And also, is the cost you pay for getting sued? And like, if I get a cease and desist letter,
that's what it would be.
I'm down. I'm out.
You're done because you're not like you're gonna fight Disney.
Yeah, I'm not making any money. Right? Yeah, on this. So
I'm gonna go in swinging.
Yeah, no. I think there's some definite ways to get around like the dice thing. Like if you print, first off, I have a friend who doesn't play anymore, but he used to proxy dice by stripping his old Awakenings dice. Mm-hmm. Like if you just put stripper on those, and I don't mean like pull stripper. I mean like like chemical strippers. On those, they'll come right off, and they're just straight blue, red, gray, and yellow dice, right?
You can get them off Alibaba. Like, they're there.
Yeah. So if you don't want to strip them, you want to buy some. So it's really just a templating and putting the stickers on. Right. So if you were to put a sticker and then just use clear coat, like either gloss, like finishing spray, that stuff will never, like, they will be. I'm not saying for life, but they'll last as long as your Destiny dice do, a couple of years.
Actually, if you put coating over them, they'd last longer, which is one of the concerns I have is like eventually your dice are going to start wearing.
Oh, so that's funny that you mentioned that. So I already have, apparently I play Vader's Fist too much. Because one of my Vader's Fist die is really...
Our Yodas are starting, and I think it's just, I think the colors have a lot to do with, like, I think the purples and the blues don't stick as well, because my Vader's Fist dice are also worn out, my Yoda dice are worn out.
Do you remember the picture I sent you from the GQ from Seattle where the guy was playing Milt, and he was like, hey, can I use these dice, the Yoda dice?
Oh, yeah, they were unreadable.
Is this guy, like, sweating acid? Like, what? That was the most worn dice I've ever seen. Like, it was crazy.
Well, there was a... God, we're getting so far off topic. But there was a guy maybe a year and a half ago, he had showed some pictures of some dice that he was rolling, and I'm a chemical engineer, right? That's my background. So I was like, oh, I'm all over this one. And like was basically able to troubleshoot it down that it was the hand cream the guy was using.
What? Like,
well, I mean, I didn't like diagnose
right,
it for sure, but he was like, "Well, yeah, I used this hand cream." I was like, "Well, do you think probably like it's like your dye wore out like 200 times faster than someone else's, and you use a special hand cream, like,
yeah,
right?
That's really
so
funny.
but yeah, that was why I was like, is he sweating acid?" But your body pH, even through different, like, if you're stressed out, like most of Star Wars disc community is right
when
now.
When you're playing the game, anytime that you're in a tournament, you're going to be stressed out.
Yeah, so now next time when you sit down to Mike and he's rolling with latex gloves on, he's like, I got to protect my fist dye forever.
So you had brought up the question about whether it was going to be rebalance or new items.
So I have a proposal on how to keep the dice thing from the characters. First, I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
So I think that one of the ways to get around dice would be to keep characters with the same die sides, but change their stats, or not stats, change their health, points, and abilities. But you can keep. So like, Finn's a bad example because his dice suck.
Right. But let's say OG Vader.
Right. So like you could make an OG Vader that had a different ability, had different health or whatever, but use the same die sides, and then you wouldn't have to worry about die production issues, and you also would not have to worry about the legality issues.
You could even do interesting stuff like power action, increase the value of one of these dice by 1. Right?
No, that's what I'm saying. So just create a new character, but then you use the same die, and then you don't have to worry about the logistics of the die.
It's actually pretty brilliant.
Good idea,
it's
right?
a good idea.
I think that's a good idea.
And I think that's something that you can do. Like anybody, like I'm not very technologically savvy. I feel like there's a program I could go out and like I made someone had sent me a template and for I put a wrapper on a Destiny template, right? Like a rap star. Like you can there is a template and you can just go and do like you can throw.
Oh yeah, well. Has a great Destiny card creator.
Oh okay, perfect. Yeah. So there's already. Hopefully they don't get like a. Maybe we should blur out their name. I don't know if I don't want them to get sued or shut down or anything.
Oh,
like that might be a good tool.
Oh, that's fair. I should probably do that.
Yeah,
because I use that all the time.
Yeah, so. Like I'm just saying, like that's interesting. That to me, like
I kind of want them to get the credit though.
I know, I do too. So that to me is a great way where again, like if you have 8 friends that love playing this game, that's one of the ways you'll be able to forever carry this game into the future. Like imagine if you took old Finn who sucks, right? But you gave him like some crazy ability where he's actually worth his 16 points.
Well, or you make him a 9/12 at this point, or isn't that what he is now?
Yeah, I think that's what he is now. But like I want to use Asajj.
Anyway.
Like I want Asajj, like old Asajj from Spirit of Rebellion, right?
She was so good but so expensive.
Yeah, like too expensive. Like that to me is where we are going to have a lot of fun with this limited infinite thing, where we're going to be able to go back and go, hey, listen, use everything you ever had, but you can only use a single force speed.
Yeah.
Like that's it.
Yeah,
like,
the restricted. Well, we already call it restricted list.
I'm getting rid of that. That's the first thing that's gone.
Yeah.
Is this is a restricted list. It's going to be, hey, guys, you can't use both this and this, right? Lightsabers should be on blue characters only, unless they're Finn or Grievous.
I have no problem with a random dude picking up a lightsaber.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like...
now, deploy to blue character only, maybe.
Yeah, like, I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of things that we could play with and have a lot of fun with. We do a once-a-year, like, tourney with just our play group where we come up with our own format, and it's one of the most fun times we have every year. Like, and guess who's not involved?
Well done.
FFG.
Yeah. Nobody's
involved. It's just something that's put together by our play group. We come up with it. Well, Andrew comes up with his own pricing.
It's my tournament that I throw for our play group.
Right,
and it's a huge point of pride for me. So thank you for.
And it's freaking amazing. Like I know people that only play twice a year, and that's one of the things they play at.
Yeah,
because it's that good. Like you can do the same thing in your like. So I know I've been pretty Debbie Downer about the whole game getting canceled.
Actually, we've gotten pretty excited in the last 10 minutes.
No, so this game is not dead. This game is undead. Like it no longer has a beating heart.
Dude, I'm totally changing the title of this episode.
Okay. So this game does not have a beating
Destiny
heart
is undead
anymore, but it can continue to live forever. Like if you love it and enjoy it and you have a passionate play group, freaking do it. Take all those old cards. Let's someone was playing the kids at Gongai the other night were playing and someone rolled in a Relby gun. I was like, I love that card so much. I miss the Relby cannon.
The background there is Gong Guy had happened into a really cheap purchase of product. Right. So for this, I mean, this sounds unbelievable, but it actually happened. For tournament prizes, tournament door prizes.
For walking in.
For walking in and for paying your $6 entry.
Yeah.
They gave everyone a box of Empire War.
Yeah. And people,
because they were just like out of space.
Yeah. Well, and there were some people who didn't even play, who were...
Well, because other people gave them the box.
Right, Brian was like, yeah, I don't want this. And they cracked open this and just started playing like four-way...
They drafted, they were playing four-way drafts. And like,
they were playing it on Monday instead of playing our standard tournament.
Like,
they played four-way...
What we're talking about right now is like such the point of so much of this community. Like, this game is so good from an entry standpoint. FFG is just screwing themselves.
You're the worst. You're the worst company. I swear. You're the worst company. Like you blew it. You had a shot at the open net and you blew it. Like you had a great design from a
you went for the windmill slam, hit the back of the rim, and now it's at center court. Brilliant
game designer. Like you took the designer of probably one of the greatest card games ever made, Netrunner. You took this person, you gave them a Star Wars IP. And somehow you screwed it up. Like I want you to reflect on that for just a minute, FFG. Think about that when you have your Christmas party next year and you're all sitting around cashing your bonus checks. Like I want you to think about that for a second.
Bonus should be higher because there's less people.
Anyway, I'm actually. It's funny. I was so down when we started this conversation. We need to. First thing we need to do is let's have fun with the next set. Covert missions.
So. Back to being a downer. Part of my timing, like that was my whole thing coming in, is I'm really upset about the timing of their announcement. I really feel like they just completely poo-pooed on the Set 9 release. And I still want to point out, we don't actually have a Set 9 release yet.
Yeah, it could be March at this point, or like, April.
How hard would it have been in that announcement to be like, hey, this is going to be the last set of Destiny. We're sorry.
Right.
It'll be out February 7th. Or whatever the Friday of that week. I don't know. Yeah. Right? But like, no. Typical FFG is like, we're sorry. Margaritas. Like, God damn it.
I think their web editor has like a 1,000-word limit and they couldn't fit in like the release date.
Like, why? Like, why? Why, Mike? Why do we not have a release date?
Especially if what you said about possibly product being like available right now, like if that's true,
actually that would be an excuse for FFG not knowing the release date, is if the distributors are
we're not releasing
they're
it.
Like no, it's like no, we need to. If that's true, which it may or may not be, right?
Grain of salt, please.
We need to give our stores 2 weeks to modify their orders. But then wouldn't that already have put it? If they said that, we'd know the date. So that's clearly not what's happening.
I don't know. So can we get back to the positive for a second?
Absolutely.
Are we done with that?
Well, I mean, the positive thing, like the excitement that you're talking about is like, so I actually have a personal admission. I've actually been getting annoyed by the people. It seems like there's a very small subset of the community who are, you know how it is, squeaky wheel, like those people. The people who love 4040 Infinite really love 4040 Infinite. And like, I totally get it. Because it's not an established meta, right? You can play whatever. Like, you're not getting crushed by the broken deck. And, like, can we be very clear? Like, there's actually probably more broken decks. And, like, you can play Vader and Palp together with Solidarity in 4040 Infinite. Like, that sounds pretty broken.
The only reason why it hasn't got oppressive is because the smart people
are not playing it.
Correct.
That's a bad statement.
The crazy deck builders.
That's what
the number of hours.
The loopers are not on 4040 Infinite.
Can you imagine for a second if you know, like some of the Running Onion or Nick Cuenca were...
That's what I'm saying.
Like they'd have the format broken in a matter of minutes.
I believe, and this is just my belief and my feeling, I believe the reason that 4040 is so passionately loved by so many of these people is because it's not... Like, it's still diverse.
Right. Yeah. Right? It won't be diverse very long.
Right.
Unless we
curate it. And so to my point, like I said, I'm getting annoyed by that passion because I feel that it's short-sighted passion. I feel that it's people not realizing what the situation is. But that sort of passion is exactly what you can bring to coming up with alternate formats in your local.
Yeah.
because you will get, like, when we do our tournament every year, like, I'm already deck built. Like, we don't even have a date set for this year, and I'm already deck building.
Right.
Assuming, because the reason we don't have date sets is because I don't know when freaking set's coming out.
Well, that and the
But,
elite, the elite.
Well, the elite.
That is thrown. All of a sudden, we're like,
Yeah,
and I
don't
love
give
it.
my secret away.
Yeah, and I love it. By the way, I love that because now we have a way to use those points. But anyway,
Yeah.
yes. So the next few months, we're gonna have covert missions, however long that is. Some of you are gonna
The next few months.
Yeah, you're gonna.
Most of us would hope the next few weeks.
Right. So at some point, we're gonna have covert missions, right? Then we're actually gonna have
April 23rd. Not legal for worlds.
I will not. I refuse to believe that. Then
No, it's coming.
we will have all of these new cards. Hopefully, we'll have. My big fear is that there's not enough of this to go around, and it really upsets some of the people. Like, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that our local group has play sets of this, that people that want it get it. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to figure it out. So that. Like,
that's quite the statement, right, considering how many boxes you buy.
I said I'm going to try, like, to the best that I can to get everyone.
I'm trying.
Right? Yeah. So we have the next. Let's say we have the next 7 months of excitement, new product, worlds, we have this weird set coming out. It's then I'm not going to call it the work, but then you have to really decide whether you're going to make that call to keep it going. And I personally feel like that between the people that love this game locally, that we can. Maybe it's not every week, twice a week. Like
I'm
not
worried about us locally keeping it alive, unless, and this is, I mean, all these things we wrote down was because this is all tied together.
Correct.
Unless the set 10, if the set 10 kits come out after Gen Con, I think we lose the game. The reason is because I will bet you a case of beer right now. They release I'm not saying it'll be a new Star Wars game, but they're going to release a new Sexy at Gen Con this year.
Oh, a new game, like a new
FFG will release a new Sexy at Gen Con.
And half us will just be like,
not half of us. Well, maybe half of our local.
Right.
By us, I mean our local.
Right.
Or whatever.
Right.
We're going to lose a significant portion to the new Sexy because that is the FFG business model, and we all keep falling for it like Alzheimer's patients. Like, it's just the way it works. Right? Like, was that offensive?
No.
If it was, I'm
it's
sorry.
funny.
I apologize to anyone who had Alzheimer's who heard that and can't remember it. So...
Anyway, you were saying if the new,
but my point is,
Sexy.
if set 10 comes out, because I think the set 10 kits could hit as late as, especially, there's two problems here, and like this is all going through my head, so I'm disjointed, right? But like summertime as it is always low attendance. It doesn't matter what's going on. Like even last year when we had the set drop on July 4th. We had lower than, I mean, it was good, but we had lower than normal attendance during the summer because you always do, because people on vacation, kids are out of school.
Especially around here, right? Like, people aren't in the house at all. They're playing games in the summertime here.
Yeah, or, take a place like Wisconsin when, like, there's, like, a 2-month window where you can go outside and not die.
Right.
Like, you're on a boat in the lake.
Right.
All right, Chris.
Great.
But, like, but my point is, like, you combine, so if it hits July, I think we still have a community that can keep going because it'll keep interest. But if we have nothing, and if there is no Destiny from May until Gen Con, and then at Gen Con they release whatever.
Right. The new... Right.
Whatever it's going to be. Their new IP. Whatever it is. I don't know what's left, but... like,
what haven't they shat upon?
But, like, my point is, if it goes past them, I don't think, globally, Destiny makes it. So it really comes down to FFG delivering on the timetable that they said that they're going to.
Oh, we're screwed.
And now we're full circle. Like, no, but you pick up what I'm laying down.
The future of our Undead game is incumbent on...
No, I mean, I do believe the locals can keep it alive at our beer level. But, like, from a global, like, we're still going to meet once a year and have a pseudo worlds.
Yeah, okay. I see what you're saying.
I don't see it happening if FFG slips up. And I don't see FFG not slipping up. Like, there's nothing in my... Like, I believe FFG will deliver on what they said. The question is the timeline in which the FFG delivers on what they said. And because the timeline here matters. Like, there is a window between Worlds and Gen Con. And the other portion is they have to make sure to get it to everyone within a relatively small window, Otherwise, these sets are going to be going for $1,000. And then you know what's going to happen is these small businesses we talked about who are really
margins.
good people,
Right.
but still have small margins, are going to say, wow, this kit that I just spent $400 for, or whatever, because they're going to be expensive.
Yeah, I cannot. That's a whole other. Yeah,
like this kit I just spent $400 for, or $250 for, or whatever.
Right.
I could make $8,000 on.
God, I hope not. Right. But you're right. You're 100% right. Yes.
So,
correct.
Like I said, like I want set 10. Like I want to see what they're going to do with it, and like because that's the end. Like,
it's going to be all we get from them.
And but you know what? There is another risk of that, though, right? Like if there's some crazy mechanic in set 10, and then they go into continuing committee, like the crazy monkeys are going to start flying out of people's heads, right? That's another risk. So
I feel like if set 10 is crazy, like when I say crazy, I mean like a shark jumper.
Right? Yeah, like power creep to the 10th.
Right? Like, because part of me feels like the reason they're giving this to us is maybe they felt like they couldn't sell it.
No, and you and I have talked about this. I firmly believe that with all the delays that they have, why else would FFG do it? Like, they're not going to print anything. Like, what? Like, why would they be doing this? I honestly believe they literally have the cards and or dice printed and in a Chinese warehouse somewhere. And they haven't yet put them in boosters. Because if they'd already put them in boosters, they'd sell them.
Right.
So I believe they have them printed, and I believe they're not.
They're not.
Which actually, I mean, this is the whole Andrew mindset thing, but I actually highly suspect that the challenge they've had in distribution actually isn't the making the dice, it's not the boosters, it's in the packaging of the randomization. Oh. Anyway, I have nothing with
get your tinfoil hat on real quick for this.
No, that's true.
Yeah,
that's accurate. But anyway, my point is, I believe they have these printed sitting somewhere, and they're like, what are we going to do with them? We don't want to make boosters because that costs us additional money. Let's throw them in a Kylo Ray box
that we already have for the bones.
Sell it for $250. $350.
Right. We'll just put like the cards in plastic bags. Right. They're probably going to be in like
the plastic bags they use for Legion or X-Wing. Like they're in there.
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't know. But like my point is like they're not good. Like think about it. If the challenge that FFG has is producing dice, they're not going to go out and make set 10 for good measure. Like, they're already made.
Right, and can you imagine if, let's say for a second, they aren't made, and they go to make them and they screw it up? Like, there's an issue with the batch, which we've heard that was some of the issues we've had with previous sets, is the stuff wasn't made properly.
Well, but I'm wondering if it wasn't that it wasn't packaged properly.
Right, yeah.
Like, we got the wrong dice in the wrong package.
And we're not spending...
That's never happened
Right, and we're not spending another dime on this game that we decided to cancel.
We have
so, I want to save this for a later discussion, but another way I think this game continues to survive with actual new cards and dice is through Tabletop Simulator.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I haven't played, like, I've been so lucky I haven't had to play on TTS in probably a year plus.
It's an interesting outlet, and I think it's going to be a great case study for will we be allowed to continue to use it as a tool?
I mean, I think so. Because
what happens when the first person creates their own cards? And
I think they're going to let you keep using TTS because I don't think they should have been letting people use TTS to begin with.
All right.
Right? So, like, don't get me wrong. TTS has actually, like, I believe TTS has helped the growth of the game.
I think it saved the game in several...
Through the dark times, I think it saved, and I think TTS has helped the growth of the game. I am not shitting on... Like, I don't personally play on it very often just because, like, I don't.
Right.
But, like, I honestly... Because, I mean, the main reason is I use Destiny as my social time, so, like, I'm having a beer or something. Like, not that I can't from my computer, but anyway. Like, my point is, I'm not shitting on TTS at all. In any way. Like, I'm fine with TTS, but I am blown away. Like, when Artificery got their cease and desist for running tournaments on there, or running a regional, or whatever the heck they were doing, they got a cease and desist at one point, and I was like, I'm shocked that didn't come earlier.
Right.
And, like, I'm blown away that FFG hasn't killed TTS. Right. So they must like TTS.
Right. And at this point, is there any reason...
Not like.
Right, is there any reason, like, now that they're done supporting it, like... I guess, is there some part of them that's like, well, we don't want these people to be invested in this game at all anymore, so
I think the only risk, I honestly believe the only risk from a continuing committee standpoint actually stands with Disney. I don't think FFG cares.
Yeah, they're on to their next game anyway.
Yeah.
Right. Like, they
And like, come on, like it's FFG, like they don't have time for that.
That's true. Yeah.
Right, but like I think it would be like what's eventually probably going to happen. Like if something bad's going to happen, it's going to be somebody uses some stolen piece of art,
right,
that belongs to Disney,
correct,
and then
or a spoiler like or something like comes out like from a movie that they're working on, and someone gets a piece of it, and it ends up like that. I mean, and again, we're cloud talking here, like this is, but I'm excited. I for one am excited about the. I'm not excited about the game being canceled. I'm excited to see what the players will do, kind of given carte blanche to do whatever they want within their own financial and physical restraints. Like if they can make cards and dice, great. Mm-hmm. I actually didn't even consider using OG Vader dice to come up with a new OG Vader character. That's brilliant.
I think that's the easy path for card development is to not change the dice sides.
Yeah, I mean, think about it though. Like we've talked about this over and over again. That if these characters at their current, if their dice sides are that, they should just have more life or points change.
Look at what happened in we called it the 6-week meta, which is going to end up being like the quarter meta.
Right, right.
Look at how much and not competitively, but like look how much infusion our local got when they dropped those points on Finn and Zeb, and like we all had a freaking blast. Yeah. Like. Yeah. So let's drop some more, or and then you have to do a balancing, but whatever. Like,
and that's a really easy way. Like, it doesn't cost anybody anything to print out a piece of paper that slides over a Vader card.
Well, I mean, it costs you like 8 cents, right? But like,
yeah, like for what we spend on.
But like the cards, printing out a proxy card versus creating proxy dice are significant. So that's why I think you use the OG dice and you just change characters.
And we have a lot, right? We have there's 60 dice.
Well, and you don't even have like. Say like a Val die, right? Like the dies with specials are even better because you can just change the special, right? But like take a Val die, like it doesn't have to be Val.
I think it'd be interesting to use like OG a BB-8, right? Like and change his ability, like because he's got a special, right? Like especially the dice that have specials on them.
He could be a character.
Yeah, like there's so many things that you could do.
I didn't make that jump. Yeah.
So. All this really long discussion is...
It has been really long.
Yeah. It is for me to say, I'm really sad the game's done.
Yeah.
I treasure all the relationships that I've made. I treasure them so much I'm not willing to give them up. I'm going to keep playing it. I hope you keep playing it. We haven't sat and discussed what's going to happen right here.
I was going to... because I've got the camera set up, I'm going to record a state of the channel when we're done.
Perfect. So,
but in short, Mike and I will be covering, or maybe not Mike and I, but because I don't want to speak for Mike,
sure.
But like there will be continued Dice Commando coverage, or there will be continued Commando cast coverage through Worlds at the minimum.
Minimum. I mean, we have a whole other set after that.
There will be daily. I mean, you guys have all hopefully, well, not hopefully. Most of you have gotten in the habit of seeing videos every day, gameplay videos every day, except for Commando Cast Day. That will continue through Worlds.
Right. At the minimum.
And I will continue to produce videos after I get my set 10 dice, whenever that may be.
Yeah. It's really a question of, I think, frequency and is there enough quality content?
Right. And like I said, I'll address those specific details in the state of the channel, which actually will probably hit before this video. So
yeah, weird. Yeah. So, but I'm excited. Like all these you don't have to give up these friendships that you've made. Like you don't have to do it. Like there's people that I met in Minnesota that I'm going to continue to be friends with. So don't let FFG's mishandling of this product end your fun. Like you can still have fun. We have so many things that we can do with this game still, and I have to say I feel much better after talking with you the last 5 hours. How long we've been casting for?
I think it's like 8 or 9.
Yeah, like however long that's been, I feel better now than I did when we were setting up. Mm-hmm. And it's not that I didn't bury my head in the sand and be like, oh, this game is great and everything's fantastic.
Far from it. Mike and I have been back and forth. Really worried for several months.
I think a lot of it is that we are willing to I guess, share with each other and express our feelings and cope with our emotions. And then now that we spent the last couple months coping because we felt like the game was dying anyway, I think now we're like, okay, it is what it is. what can we do to keep having fun? And there are a lot of cool ideas. And I think, and we'll just have this, I guess, I hope that you give me an avenue to share with them our ideas for keeping the game fresh. Like that's what I want to do. And if there's a future of our discussions, that's what I want that to be, is like we're not going to talk about new spoilers. We're going to talk about how we came up with 10 new characters off these new cards, right? And we want to share them with you on in here, you know, like that's going to be the
new formats, new ideas, new things.
Yeah. So
I don't know. We've become quite a community. As of today, there are 1,340 people who, at some point at least, have cared about what we have to say. We have a very vibrant community. We could list the names forever, but
we missed the 11 of you that immediately unsubscribed when they announced the game died.
That is true. I had 11 subscriptions within 2 hours after the game died.
I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah. But that's the way it goes.
But we've had people join since then.
That's also true.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. We appreciate you watching and joining us, and
you've become part of the family.
Yeah,
right? I mean,
and it's funny, like the number of comments like I've seen over the last, like even the last month or so, like people really just, you know, giving encouragement. So I appreciate that. I know you do. Like you probably more than me.
You guys saw. You guys. I mean, hopefully, if you follow the Facebook page, I posted data like the coming out of Christmas, the channel views went through the roof.
Right.
People are excited about this game right now, and I mean, obviously everybody just got kicked a little bit, but
there's just so much to do. Like,
we still have our dice and we still have our cards, and there's time to go. So tell you what, let's wrap this up. Any closing thoughts?
Go Commando.
Go Commando. That was so long.
How long was that? Like an hour and a half? Like that had to be the longest cast we've ever done.
It was like an hour and 25 minutes.
I have to pee. I have to